Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's project, we're going to be building a loft bed. Now, this is going to be a three-part series because it is a large project, but in this video, in part one here, we're going to build the whole entire bed assembly. And in the second part of the video, we're going to be making stairs here on the side, and those steps are going to have pull-out drawers underneath. So each step is going to be a drawer for storage, and that's going to be a really cool video also. And on the third and final video, I'm going to be putting a computer desk in here on the corner, 45-degree angle right there, and that's going to house the computer on one side, the printer and the router on the other, and that's going to make this whole other area of my son's room wide open. We're going to have a nice TV on the wall for him. He's going to have plenty of room to play. It's going to make the room a lot bigger by getting everything over to one side. All right, so let's get started on this build.
Now I'll get started here as always by milling up the rough lumber. I have to flatten one face, joint an edge, bring it over to the table saw, and start to make these the dimensions that I need. I'm working on the posts first, so what I'm going to do is rip these oversized, so after the glue up I have room to cut them to the final dimensions and joint an edge and keep them straight. Once the boards are ripped, then I can cut them at the miter saw to the various lengths that I need. Now I'm gluing up two pieces here to form the posts, and that's going to create a cradle for where the bed rails are going to sit. I'll use a roller to spread the glue evenly so I get a good even squeeze out and a good bond. I'm going to use 18 gauge brad nailer here just to tack the ends in place so it doesn't slide around while I'm screwing it together.
Alright guys, so I glued the posts up yesterday and I let them sit overnight, and that gave them a nice glue bond, and you can see the nice glue squeeze out we have here, but it still leaves them just barely uneven, and we want to have these nice and flush and make them look like they were originally 4x4 posts. And the reason I had them cut the long piece to 76 inches and the short piece of the post to 56 inches was so that when it's sitting on the floor like this, the bed rail, which is going to be 3/4, is going to sit on that, and this creates a nice little cradle and a support beam for that bed rail. So the bed rails are going to be going across like this. That's going to support the mattress. Of course, in here there's going to be a cleat with slats across, and that'll have the mattress sit on top of that. And then up here we're going to have all the guard rails for the longer piece, and that's so the child won't roll off, or my child won't roll off that bed. Alright, so let's get started making these flush up today, and then we're going to start milling up the bed rails.
Now you'll notice while I'm cleaning this up on the jointer that I left the screws very far from the edge when I installed them. That was done purposely so that they wouldn't hit any of the blades on the jointer or the table saw. Now I'll install the wood plugs to hide the screw holes. I'm using a flush trim saw to get rid of the excess wood plug, and then I'm just going to sand it all down. The posts for the footboard and the headboard will be permanently attached to the side rails through mortise and tenon joinery. So right now I'll butt them up against each other, and I'll use my layout lines with the square and lay out my mortises first. Now, I normally make mortises on my dedicated mortising machine, but since these workpieces are too large, what I'm going to do is use a spiral upcut bit on my plunge router with an edge guide and just make a few passes. First, I'll drill straight through with the spiral upcut bit to the full depth on the front and the rear of the mortise, so I have a stopping and starting point. Then I'll take light passes until I cut to the full depth of the mortise. Once I have all the mortises cut, now I can lay out the lines for the tenons. Over the table saw, I'm going to establish the shoulder of the tenon, and then once I have that established, and then I'm going to remove all the waste of the cheek. Now the spiral bit from the router leaves the mortises with rounded edges, so I'm just going to use a wood file and round over the edges of the tenon. And now it's time for a glue up. I'll start with putting some glue in the mortises and then brushing some on the tenons. Now I'll just set these into parallel clamps and leave them overnight to cure out. Now I have all the bed rails and the posts just clamped together so I can drill the through holes for the bolt. I have to make this a knockdown bed because I have to be able to take it apart and assemble it back in my son's room. There's no way to get this through a staircase or hallway or a door. It's too heavy, too large, too awkward, so it has to be taken apart and reassembled.
Okay guys, so I have the bed mocked up here, it's all clamped up. Now I need to install on the bed rails the cleat that's going to hold the slats, which is going to support the mattress. Now, I'm working by myself, so I thought a little quick tip that I would give you guys is you're going to learn when you're working by yourself, you need an extra set of hands. So what I did was get some scrap wood and just clamp it to the bed rails. And what that's going to allow me to do is, when I'm ready to put some glue on this, which is going to be in a couple of seconds, I'll put the glue, I'll put it on there, and that holds it in place for me while I pre-drill and screw it together. All right, so let's get some glue on there and we'll start the pre-drill. Okay, so I have the top rails in place for the guard on the headboard side. So what I did was clamp two spacer blocks in there evenly sized so that I can get an even reveal from the top and bottom. So now I'm just going to screw it in, put some glue, screw it together, fill the holes with plugs, and then we can move on to the side rails.
Now you need to recess the head of the bolt and the washer, so what I'm going to do is start with a paddle bit and then clean it out with a Forstner bit. Now we're on the home stretch here. I'm going to start to apply the stain. Now I can spray 3 coats of a satin polish. Now I need to cut the slats that support the mattress, so I'll set my fence to 2 inches and rip it down. Now I need to cross cut some vertical slats for the guardrails, so I set up a stop lock on my miter gauge for 16 inches, so I can repeat the cuts. Now I'll start the reassembly process in my son's room. Now I'm installing the bed rails with a 2¼ inch bolt with lock washers and a lock nut, and I'll tighten it up by hand.
Alright guys, well that's it for this project. Thank you for joining me. I hope you will subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Make sure you click the picture of the bell at the bottom of the screen right there. That's a notification bell, and what that's going to do is every time I upload a video, you'll get notified right away and be able to watch it sooner. Okay, so in part 1 here, we built the whole bed assembly. In part 2, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be building the stairs with the pull-out drawers. I'm also going to be assembling those drawers with half-blind dovetail, so that's going to be really cool. Definitely stick around for that. And the third and final part will be the computer desk in the corner there, and it'll all be the same color as this, which is going to match a piece of his existing furniture. And my son slept on it last night. He absolutely loved it. The only problem is, since the stairs are not done yet, we had to put a ladder here for him to get on it because it's pretty high. You notice when I was putting together, he has a ceiling fan here in the middle of his room. That's going to be taken off completely, and I'm going to be installing just a basic dome light, not only to get better lighting in his room, because you can tell, you know, there's not such great lighting in here with that, but at the same token, I don't want these blades anywhere near the bed. So we have central air in here. He's not going to need the fan. He never uses it anyway, so we're going to get rid of that and just put a dome light, and that'll be it. And that's it. Take care. See you guys next time.